Hello, I'm retired Battalion Chief Larry Cockman from the Greensboro, North Carolina Fire Department History Book Committee. We're here today at the Greensboro Historical Museum. I'm standing in front of the General Green, the first steam pumper, or as they called it back then, the steamer. Today, December 9th, 2019, we are starting a new tradition of recording and preserving the heritage and culture of our retirees. Our retirees have contributed so much to the success of our great fire department. Their stories retire with them and are sometimes gone forever when they pass away. They will share their emergency calls that will always be a part of their memories forever. So sit back and listen as they carry us through their journey in the Greensboro Fire Department.
My full name is Myron Kenan, Senior. I'm 60 years old. And I had 26 years with the fire department, and I retired as a captain. I'm originally from Chinquapin, North Carolina. Before I came to the fire department, I had recently gotten out of the Navy, active Navy, and was in the Navy Reserve, and I was working with a lumber company as a warehouse manager. The driving force behind me coming to the fire department were two of my former co-workers had applied and been accepted at the fire department. They were Mike Swales and David Morgan. The process when I came on was filling out the application, and once I did that and was approved, then we had the physical abilities test, and once you passed it, we had the written test. And upon completing the written test and passing, we had the oral interview, and Chief Kerry Hensley was my interviewer. I never really imagined being a firefighter before I applied for this job. Our training class, my training class, started at 36 people in it, and we graduated 30 of the 36. Some of the people in my training class was Mike Trexler, Daryl Quartz, Matthew Reed. We had some fun in training also. We had one story, a gentleman in the class, he lost his name tag and it was turned in by a civilian, but he didn't know it, and upon being confronted, he said they had left it home, and so the rest of the training he had to wear this big sign that had his name on it around his neck. Yes, upon being in training, I thought that I had done the right thing because I enjoyed working with people and serving, so I think this was an excellent career for me. My first assignment was Station 11, the old Station 11, and my first captain was Captain Tommy McNeil, and I was on Engine 11. Some of the people there stationed with me were Brent Gerald, Crawford Jones, Kevin Pettigrew, and the captain on the ladder was Captain Phil May. I remember my first day at the firehouse. We had in our sleeping quarters, we had loungers in there, and we had a pool table, and everyone was in there, playing pool and sitting around. And as it got later that evening, I was sitting in one of the lounge chairs, and a couple people were in there. And I didn't pay attention, but people started leaving, and I was kind of nodding off, and next thing I know, the lights were out, and here come a lot of fireworks shooting across there. Scared me to death. Yes, we cooked at our station. Everybody pitched in each day. We had a team assignment, and two of us would cook each day. I think it's very important for firefighters to cook and eat together. It builds that camaraderie, and you have time to sit around and talk about the day's events and the calls you run, and it's just a good time to socialize with each other. I thought I was a decent cook. Some people said I was a pretty good cook. I enjoyed cooking the firehouse meal, which was cornbread, macaroni and cheese, pinto beans, coleslaw, and a meat would either be Spam or sausage because I didn't eat pork, so I'd have turkey sausage. I see where the firefighters might think it's an advantage for them to have the cubicles so they can get away from the day around the firehouse, but I think having the open bay dorms was really a good time for everyone to really just bond to each other. And firefighters downtown now, I see them either exercising or a lot of them are in their computers or on their phones, and it's not really the getting together and socializing like we did back in the day when I came on. I don't think firefighters have as much downtime now because you got a lot of other stuff going on besides fighting fire now with the medical situations, calls and stuff, so I think it's less downtime. I think when a firefighter that's retired visits a fire station, it's good to show that firefighter respect that he has earned from his many years of service, he or she. And one day the firefighters that are on active duty, they'll become retired firefighters, hopefully. So they would want to receive that same respect too. My first call was a car fire, I think on Elm Street. And we used a booster hose to put it out. I was on suppression for 7 years before I went into fire prevention. In fire prevention, I was there, I think 10 years in fire prevention, then I came back on the suppression side. Yes, upon entering fire prevention, I gained a lot of knowledge, a lot of stuff that I didn't even realize that goes on in fire prevention with the inspection side, the investigation side. I became an arson investigator, and I was one of the first ones, the first 3 people assigned to a 24-hour investigator. I think it would be good for all firefighters to work in the different divisions because you're gaining a lot of insight into the fire department, not just on suppression, but in other areas, administration. My first 7 years on in the fire department, we had medical calls, but there weren't that many, and the medical calls, we had squads back then. So a lot of times the squads ran the medical calls. And then after I came out of fire prevention, all the engines and ladders were running medical calls. They had gotten rid of all the squads, so the medical calls increased and the fire volume decreased. I think there's a lot of value in writing medical calls because 9 times out of 10, the fire department is going to get there first. So people are getting a much faster response, and fire departments are well trained in the medical service now. I think the main call that stands out in my mind was the Elm Street fire that they had at the garage on Elm Street, because it had a lot of potential for a lot of loss of life, and things just happened to come together that we didn't lose any life. So I think that was a major call. Okay. When 9/11 happened, I was in an inspection class in Durham, North Carolina. And I'll always remember that day when we got that interrupted in class and told us about the towers. And it really affected me, especially in the aftermath, to see all the fire community coming together and how these guys gave up and women gave up their lives for it. And it really affected me because seeing how guys and girls came together at 9/11 and they gave up their lives for others without even thinking about it. So it showed me the camaraderie and the brotherhood of the fire department, really at its finest moment. I think my first captain, Tommy McNeil, was one of my mentors. When I came on the fire department, he was my training officer. So when everyone else was getting their assignments and I was looking around, waiting, wondering why I wasn't getting an assignment, at the end he told me, he said, "Don't worry about it. I'm going back to the line and you going with me." So from then on, he's just kind of mentored me. So he was a great. I didn't experience a lot of challenges on the job. I thought I was equipped for most everything that came around, but I think early on I experienced some pay inequities. That was my main concern. Seemed like there was some kind of favoritism for some people getting more pay than others, but as it got a little later in my career, those things changed. I would do it all again, and The only thing different I would do is try to learn even more about the fire department in each division and try to work in each division a little more. My most heartbreaking moments are going on house fires or residential structure fires, because when you go on those, you know somebody's losing everything they got. So I just hate to see that for anyone. So that was my most trying times. I think my proudest moment was graduation from the training academy, because my mother was there to see me graduate. My mother she was the main influence on me. Yep. I think as firefighters, we compartmentalize a lot of this death that went on. They have callous humor and stuff like that, but we didn't really talk about it a lot, and sometimes that's not really good for us to do that. Yeah, when it's death of our own, it's really heartbreaking. It really affected me a lot, in as much as it made me want to be there for the families and do more. And that's one of the reasons I joined the Honor Guard, was so I could support the families and be of service anytime they needed. The Honor Guard's purpose is to be there for families in the time of need. It's to show our respect for their service, and that's a major component of this fire department. Yeah, there was a lot of different things that you had to learn on the Honor Guard. As far as the uniform, it was different, and for us learning the procedures for different events, ceremonies, and learning to work with each other, it's a good job to have. And well, I wouldn't even consider it a job, but Honor Guard is great for us. Yeah, I think once you finish a service for a fallen firefighter or their family members, I think that it makes you feel like you've done your part. You've done the best you could to honor them. Yes, I did. I worked with several female firefighters. When I went back on the line as a captain, one of my firefighters was female. It was different because I had never supervised a female firefighter on the line before, but everyone took part and did their job, and I was okay with that. I think the most significant change in the fire service was going more to medical service, instead of just fire service. Yeah, the other roles they have as firefighter now are hazmat, specialized hazmat team. We have the bike teams. We have these heavy rescue teams. Like I say, we still have fire prevention and the firefighting, but there's a lot of different roles you can play on the fire department, not just being just a straight structural firefighter. I think fire safety education is more important than suppression, because if we have that education and get everybody on board, we'll have less suppression that we have to deal with. Yes, I was in the Navy before I came on the fire department. And with my Navy and Naval Reserve, I put in 26 years in the Navy too. I retired as chief in 2003. I think the military service did help me because it disciplined me, so I was ready for the fire service once I came here. I think I consider a successful firefighter a firefighter that is knowledgeable about their job and can carry out that, demonstrate that knowledge in each and every day that they are assigned a job. Yes, family and faith played the biggest part in my life as a firefighter. Without God, I wouldn't be here today, and my family was very supportive of my career. As I stated before, I think my mother was the main one that made the impression on or off the job. She had a saying, and it went as, be as good as the best and better than the rest. And that was her motto, and I took that to live by. Well, as it came to the end of my career, I thought it was time for me to retire. I had done all the things that I thought I needed to do, and I felt like I had accomplished everything that I wanted to. And I was in good health, so I decided now would be a good time to retire. And my wife was retired and she's been wanting me to travel with her anyway, so that was my main reason. My health has been great since I retired. I've had no illnesses, and I think I'm in pretty good health, and I think a lot of that's due to the fire department having annual physicals because they were very thorough. I would say to a new firefighter coming in today, learn as much as you can, do your best, and take advantage of every opportunity there is on the fire department. I would like for the Greensboro Fire Department to remember that I gave it my best. I did what I could to make this a better department. I think I'd like for my family to remember that I was always there for them, regardless of good or bad. I just appreciate the opportunity that Greensboro Fire Department gave me, working with all the great people that I've worked with in the past. And I want to thank my family for all their support and love during all this time, especially my wife, Renee. And I look forward to this next chapter in my career. The value I see in these interviews today is that you are documenting a great time in people's lives. This is something that will live on forever, even after we pass. And you don't have that today. The history that you are gaining here today, it cannot be understated. This is an awesome job you all are doing.
We hope you enjoyed watching these documentaries. It was our goal to share and preserve the memories of our retired Greensboro firefighters. It is our desire that these documentaries will inspire future generations to continue the brotherhood, sisterhood, and camaraderie while always striving for excellence in their careers. While fire apparatus, equipment, and technology have improved, several things will always remain the same. The courage and bravery it takes to mitigate natural and man-made disasters will always be a part of the job. Although our retirees are no longer a physical part of the GFD world, a giant piece of each retiree's memories have been shared with you today. These memories will be in their hearts and minds forever. A special thank you goes out to Captain Harold Haney for his many long hours of recording and editing. Thank you, Harold. A job well done.